Hello friends, welcome back to the bench. Thank you very much for joining me. Our patient is an AM35B. I don't remember what that is, but that's not very important. What is important is that today we're gonna test a new blend. This is my Omega 559 that I keep improving. I'm struggling with some aspects of it, but one thing that I wanted to show you, the difference between Whiskey Tango, that is my favorite blend, but it boils because it contains glycerin, so it boils and it splatters, right? Because it contains water, because glycerin is pulling water. I know there is a method. You guys told me in the comments there is a method of reducing that moisture. But in either case, you know, as soon as you dispense it, it's gonna start grabbing water from the air. But the main difference is that once Whiskey Tango dries, it creates a solid layer, right? That you can just pretty much scrape, and it doesn't stick to the. It's a leftover resin or rosin. This one, on the other hand, this was dispensed yesterday. As you can see, it stays in a semi-liquid form, right? And now the way it cleans pretty much the same way all the other blends clean. You can just spray alcohol on it and just watch it dissolve. You see how it's dissolving? So cleaning either way is easy, but it kind of depends what you're after. I kind of like how Whiskey Tango dries and that solid layer that you can scrape off. This one, not so much, but I expect this one to work better when it's overheated, right? It to be easier to clean. But you can see how it's running away, right? It's dissolving perfectly. So the difference is Whiskey Tango contains components that are not that are not alcohol soluble. 559, Omega 559, contains only alcohol soluble components. So in my view, that's easier to clean, usually. It kind of depends, but that's how it behaves. So just so you're not surprised that it's staying liquid instead of solidifying. Let's open the ECM and let's get the chip off, and let's see how this baby handles. No prior repair attempt, that's what you like. Okay, the chip is ready. We're gonna put 380 at 79. Now, some technicians like to put flux on the chip when they're desoldering it. So we're gonna test that. Let's grab a fresh needle. The flux comes with a needle. It's a pretty thick one. It's necessary for this kind of flux. The color is a little less orange, so it's not OJ 559. And the main reason for that is that this one does not contain citric acid. I'm kind of back and forth when it comes to that particular component. It definitely improves the performance of the flux, but not by much, and it introduces acidity. So I decided let's try doing it without the citric acid. Now it is a little hard to dispense. I thought this formula would kind of address that, but no. So yeah, be prepared that it's difficult to dispense, but you can dispense it, right? You just need to use a little bit of force. So let's start heating it and see. We should see very little boiling. Let's see, even no boiling just yet, but I'm heating from pretty far. I can smell pine trees already. Obviously I put way too much flux on it, but I wanted to see. Look, it's essentially, yeah, there's a little bit of boiling action here and there, but very little. That is the main aspect I'm chasing with this formula. But because of that, it's relatively thick, hard to dispense. And now let's lift the chip. Okay. I think it's good. So now let's get an inappropriate tip for wicking and a good wick. I didn't put any more flux, which I should probably. And also we're not putting leaded solder on it. We're just wicking right after the removal. So this is all lead-free solder. It's wicking very nicely. No complaints there, even though it has no citric acid. Perhaps it's not needed, but I've heard some concerns regarding citric acid. So for now, I'm just kind of removing it from my formula, and we'll see. I don't see much difference without it. Okay, and do we have enough flux on it? Probably. Let's see. If we do, let's put some solder over here, and yep, that's enough flux. It's working really well. There you go, and the ground, beautiful. Okay, this is good. So now let's spray it and watch it clean itself. Yeah, it cleans a lot. Even I'm not sure if it does clean better than Whiskey Tango, but pretty much the same way. Just spray it. You don't even have to help it with Q-tip or toothbrush or what have you. Okay, so the board is clean now. Let's preheat it to make this easier. That will also allow the flux to start flowing right away, like this. Way too much flux, but that's fine. So we have a few bubbles, right? So there's always going to be a little bit of alcohol left in it. And actually, if I left more alcohol, so to just kind of sustain that bubbling action, it would be much easier to dispense. But, you know, it's kind of pick your poison. Right? If you don't mind boiling, Whiskey Tango is your guy. If you don't want boiling, then you have to deal with difficulty in dispensing. Well, maybe not difficulty. I mean, you know, it takes a little bit of strength in your fingers or in your hand to actually dispense this flux. You know, so you might find that hard. You could actually let's do that in a second. But first, let's finish soldering this chip. Okay, I think it's in position. I can hear the alcohol boiling because I flooded the board with alcohol. Now let's dispense a little more and let's rework the pins, and then we're gonna dispense a lot and treat it like a paste, because it is essentially a paste. It's relatively thick, but look at the soldering, beautiful. Yeah, it works. We really didn't need this citric acid. I don't think we did. I already shipped a few packages to repeat buyers and people who bought the flux in the past. So you're gonna receive a mysterious order from me, or mysterious package that contains 1 tube. Unfortunately, not everybody will, because I didn't make enough. Because I make typically up to like 10 syringes, and in my fixture I can place up to 12. So in one go I can make pretty much 12 tubes, right? And even making 12 is kind of a risk, because what if it doesn't work? What if it absolutely sucks? This one is awesome, I must say, but what if it absolutely sucks? Then you lose, you know, if you made 50, you suddenly lose 50 syringes, you know, all the components. So I make relatively small batches, so I couldn't send to everybody. But hopefully people who did receive it will like this one, because it looks okay. Now let's clean it and inspect it. Okay, it's looking good. Let's take a closer look. Yeah, every side looks pretty good. The ground, look at the soldering on the ground. It's usually the hardest one, right? And it looks pretty good. It's not too bad. Actually, I was thinking, yeah, let's rework over here a little bit, because it looks like I didn't heat it up enough. So let's redo over here and a little higher temperature, 375. A little bit of solder, and let's heat it up nicely. And there, I think that's much better. And a little squeeze, and watch the flux fly away. Yeah, this is much better now. I didn't heat it up enough on the previous run, especially if you're working with lower temperature on the iron. You want to hold that iron next to the chip or touching the chip for a few seconds before you remove it, to allow the pads, both the pads on the board and on the chip, to heat up so they can accept all that solder. Yeah, that looks a lot better. Okay, a few specks from the paper towel, but all around good soldering, looking good. So the flux definitely works. Now let's take a look at it. So as I said, it's in the form of a paste, but you really have to put quite a lot of pressure on the plunger to dispense it. But it dispenses, like as you can see, right? So it will work, it will dispense for you even with the needle, but it just takes a bit too much effort in my view. I mean, I don't mind. Yeah, I can do it with one hand, but it definitely takes some effort to do that. So you could transfer it to something a little better, more suited. Those people playing loud music in their cars. I don't mind the music, but it's copyrighted music, so I can't record when they're blasting the music. Anyways, let's grab a little, maybe a spudger or something like that. Maybe this. Right, so you can see the texture of it, right? Let's spread it a little. So this is especially good for BGA. Well, for BGA, meaning for reballing. This was my primary incentive, because I really wanted to make a blend so Tony can use it, because he cannot use any of my other blends for reballing, because they just dry out too quickly. But as you can see, this one does not dry out, right? You can keep working it, and it's going to stay in this form for hours. How long exactly, I'm not sure, but it will stay in this form of a paste for a long time. So you don't have to rush with applying it to the chip or what have you. You can take your sweet time and it'll stay moldable like this, workable. And now let's heat it up rapidly, well, semi-rapidly, and no boiling. Did you see any boiling action? I didn't see any. That's the primary incentive here, right? Because I want it to work well for reballing. Now it will start boiling once it reaches the temperature, but that is true for every flux, and it stays relatively in place. All right, it will be flying to the other sides. You know, it will be floating away because it will turn into liquid, but it's relatively thick liquid, as you can see, right? So it's not disappearing right away. It's staying put. It's also not smoking as much because it allows higher temperature. We've been blowing on it for a while. It's not burning yet. It will eventually burn, sure, but it's not quick. It's not quick to burn. Let's bring some more over here. Alright, it changed color a little bit. It's pretty, yeah, it's not burned, right? And after activation like this, if you leave it to cool down, it will stay in this kind of a sticky, oily form, unlike Whiskey Tango. It will not solidify, ever. Which, on the one hand, it makes it easier to clean with alcohol, but on the other hand, if you want to now clean it with a Q-tip, that will likely be difficult, right? Dry Q-tip. Well, it's still pretty warm, so it kinda cleans, right? But without alcohol, it's gonna be difficult overall. Let's try to clean it here. It just becomes more and more sticky. Yeah. So without alcohol, this is gonna be difficult to clean. So Whiskey Tango would get cleaned already, because it would be only rosin, nothing else, right? But this one will offer some resistance. It's cleaning, it is cleaning, right? It's not gonna leave the surface perfectly clean, but it's also because it's relatively warm still. So this is not how I would recommend cleaning it. How I would recommend cleaning it is to spray some alcohol and it's gone. Well, it was a tiny layer, but essentially it'll just disappear under the IPA. Let's see on the tool. So on the tool, this should be relatively cold now. All right. I mean, not horrible. Technically, you can pick up a lot of it. Sure. You can pick up a lot of it, but you won't be able to just clean the board with dry Q-tip, which you can do with some blends of Flux. But again, all you gotta do is just spray some IPA on it, and you see how all that nastiness flies away. Yeah, it just dissolves and goes away. And yeah, there's still some left. All right, so on this side, so let's let it get cleaned, and without wiping it, we want to see no stickiness, because in some cases you can't wipe it, like under the chip and stuff like that, or the socket, and those kind of jobs. You want it to get cleaned just by spraying alcohol, nothing more. Now let's dry it. And it is not sticky, not even a little bit, nada. Right? So that's what I like about this, right? It just cleans. Yeah, the tool is perfectly clean. So I didn't wipe it, I didn't use any paper towel or anything, just spray some alcohol and it just cleans off perfectly. That's what I like about it. Now the only problem that I'm still struggling with is the thickness of it. It's really, really thick. So it's really hard to work with this syringe. Not impossible, but pretty hard. That's how I dispense it, right? So you can see I can push out no problem, right? But I'm using a lot of strength in my hand. Or you can dispense it like this, right? It's a lot easier because you have a strength from both hands. Yeah, so this shows you how thick it is, how long it stays in this form. Take a look. So it gets pretty long before it detaches, right? Look how how long. Yeah, about 2-3 inches maybe of a stream of flux before it breaks off. So it's really thick, but it doesn't boil. It doesn't contain citric acid. So it's purely again, true no clean, so the same as Whiskey Tango. It withstands higher temperatures than Whiskey Tango, of course, and it doesn't contain water. It also doesn't dry out, so you can use it for reballing. The link is the same. It's the same formula. It's just a little... actually, it's not thicker than the first one. It just contains less alcohol. Yeah, I think it's better, and I like it. So far, I like it. It's just that one last problem with thickness. But I am working on that, and I'm hoping to have another formula, another blend of this type relatively quickly. So we're gonna keep experimenting until we find and until we solve the majority of the problems. But again, we're not gonna be able to develop one flux for all. There's gonna be at least 3 different blends for different purposes. And with that, thank you guys very much for watching. I do appreciate you, and I shall see you guys in the next one.